Now, there are some Simpsons fans out there who don't think Treehouse of Horrors are scary. And to be fair, some of them definitely aren't. I mean, I like Into the Spider-Verse as much as the next guy, but come on, this isn't horror. But there are fans who insist that they're almost never scary. So today, let's prove them wrong. I put together a list of the most bone-chilling, blood-curdlingest, Bart-killingest segments of Treehouse of Horror, spanning all 36 seasons thus far. Please note, this is not a ranking of overall quality. Just because a segment is great doesn't mean it's necessarily all that terrifying. Today, we're looking for the horror in Treehouse of Horror. So here are my top 20 scariest Treehouse of Horror segments. Time and Punishment is one of the greatest Treehouse segments of all time. It's only moderately scary. Hey, it still made this list, but it's not like top tier scary. It made it on here for two sequences, the Ned Flanders dystopia and this jump scare. Ned Flanders makes for such a hilarious yet intimidating dictator, brainwashing and lobotomizing people to do his good-natured bidding. Genuinely creepy material. And of course, Willie getting axed is indeed a disturbing universe. But other than that, yeah, doesn't really move me. This is one of those instances where it's so dang funny that it overpowers my sense of dread. I'm too busy laughing to be terrified by toaster time travel. People who hate being home alone, hearing all the bumps in the night, probably really gets freaked out by The Thing and I. The first half creates so much suspense and mystery, always showing you just a little more before finally explaining everything. For his part, Hibbert tells his tale in such a captivating manner, really feels like we're discovering some secret lost history of The Simpsons. Hugo himself is awesomely sinister, with his design, his deeper voice, and his insane plan for Bart. They do rush this part though, how Hugo reveals himself almost immediately. I always wish there was more of a build-up to a jump scare here. As an adult, I don't find The Thing and I as scary as when I was little, especially compared to other stuff on this list, but it does call back to those earlier feelings of wondering what is making that noise in the attic. You know what the Omega Man has? Existential dread. The idea that everyone could just be blown away by a nuke at any moment really makes me glad I'm not old enough to remember the Cold War. Also, this segment has mutants. Freaks, or monsters. They do show up somewhat abruptly, interrupting this easygoing montage. It's like, oh, we're doing this now. The animators did a wonderful job with their designs, with those skin graft things and the weird pink outlines on their eyes. They do have a threatening aura about them. I don't find the chase scene that terrifying, as well as the ending, since they play them more for laughs, but it does add a sense of thrill, which is much appreciated. For a segment with Homer mostly by himself, it's nice to get some shotgun action in there. What? How could a Toy Story parody make this list? This thing is not scary at all. Sure, there's the aspect of Bart torturing and destroying his toys. This guy getting nuked in the microwave is very grisly. We are meant to empathize with these toys. But we, the viewer, still think of them as inanimate objects to some degree, so it's not as scary as it could be. This is on the list for its ending. The toys just straight up murder Bart on screen. They add this layer to the joke, but it somehow makes it even more unnerving. And then the reveal that they turn Bart's body into a toy, this empty husk that Homer and Marge are crying over in the end, it's so messed up. Why did you guys make this so sad? I like Toy Gory, it's a good segment, but I have always found this ending kinda haunting. Makes you think that Sid got off easy, huh? Homer Cubed is so dang eerie. There is no better word to describe it. Some of it is just the nature of the early era CG, giving this 3D stuff an uncanny valley feel. Alf Clausen complements this with a wonderfully mysterious score that feels unsettling yet futuristic. Even the action back in the house feels eerie, How they're all talking to this echoey, disembodied voice. Have you all ever seen The Twilight Zone this is based on? This aspect is super unsettling in the original. This is probably its scariest moment, Homer's final moments as the dimension collapses. Imagine being Marge, hearing all this happen to your husband. Generally, I would say that the third dimension stuff isn't designed to make us scream or jump out of our seats, but the whole thing is a vibe. And sometimes vibes alone are enough to bring the spooky. House of Wax is one of those segments that could have been way darker, leaning more into the controlling and unrelenting HAL 9000 stuff more. Using Pierce Brosnan in this role does add charm and levity, where the scene-by-scene action feels less ominous. The first half isn't that scary at all, except for his voyeuristic tendencies. However, Homer's supposed death is absolutely horrific. The way the house lures him down there and then funnels him into that garbage disposal, ew. I still don't know how he survives this. Then the ending hitting home the creepiness toward Marge, how this whole house feels like one big death trap. I kinda wish this escape section were longer, that we got more mask-off evil computer action. Then it could have been a top 10 segment easy. But whatever, it hits its climax well, and that's what you really want with these. I know what you diddly did is making this list for its ending. That's it. This scene is not scary. Not scary, not scary, not scary, not scary, not scary. The only thing scary about the first half is Maud Flanders' voice. Okay, I guess this 360-degree spin is pretty nice. But the ending is so gruesome in terms of how they execute the scene. Not just that the werewolf Flanders tears into Homer, all that is off screen, but the fact that they hold on it for so long that we have to listen to Homer getting torn into. They do insert some jokey dialogue, sure, but this is a very drawn-out Homer death. Really leaves a lot to your imagination. Definitely one of the few times where the commercial break feels like a moment of relief. Don't Have a Cow, Mankind is secretly what I wish Dial Z for Zombies was back in the day. Maybe it's my more modern sensibilities, but when it comes to zombies, I want two things: manic and panic. That there are just so many zombies everywhere. Oh wait, I mean munchers. Sorry guys. But anyway, I want it to be a constant sense of pressure. Lots of mowing these guys down. Let's squash Hans Moleman's head. Let's blow away Helen Lovejoy. I'm not a person who demands a lot of violence and gore in my movies and TV shows, but if you're doing a zombie segment, you gotta give that to us. Now, I don't think it's great at creating actual suspense. Like, all this Homer intrigue later doesn't do much for me. I think this segment is more scary in the gross-out, action-packed way. Don't Have a Cow, Mankind is essentially a fun thrill ride. Turn off your brain and enjoy the mayhem. I gotta hand it to the animators. Homer's character acting as Snake is absolutely bone-chilling. There's so much drive and determination in his eyes that you can really sense the brutality from him as he enacts his revenge. Yeah, Homer's angry and violent, but he's not brutal. These scenes with Moe and Apu are so tense and foreboding. Then, of course, seeing Homer turn on his son. This isn't the Homer-Bart violence I asked for. It's the exact same feeling I have when watching Twin Peaks. Seeing a familiar character act with such unrelenting brutality. Now, the actual deaths themselves are still played relatively silly and cartoony. I mean, Apu got dumped in a squishy machine. Same could be said for the confrontation with Bart at the end. So, I gotta deduct some scary points for trying to keep things light. Hell to Pay could have been way more dark and oppressive, and they kept things relatively balanced. Probably the right choice tonally, but for this list, this is as far as it can go. Ugh, this segment is just gross. Disgusting. You Simpsons writers should feel bad about yourselves. Still, there obviously is a grossness factor to the horror genre, so you gotta tip your hat to how squeamish Homer makes the viewers at home. I feel sick watching Homer systematically eat parts of his own body. They do shield the audience somewhat, confining some to a wacky montage, and there's a lot of domestic Homer-Marge business to add some levity, but it really makes you wonder about Homer's pain tolerance, the act of cutting off a limb of your own body. There's an implied visceralness that makes me shiver. I'm looking down at my hand, imagining why someone would do this to themselves.
Those spiders are particularly
Once again,
nasty.
I put this more in the gross category than strictly scary, and we're ranking scary today. But if you had this at number 1, I honestly wouldn't blame you. It's genuinely unnerving. I once said that Night of the Dolphin is impressive because it manages to make dolphins scary. And oh boy, did people have comments about that. But despite dolphins' outward silliness, this segment does remind you of that very real fact, according to the comments. I do think the scary factor is mostly carried by a couple of especially graphic deaths, as well as stuff like Lenny and Grandpa that provide the heebie-jeebies. The rest of it is mostly fight scenes, more generalized violence that are a dime a dozen in Halloween segments. Hearing comic book guys neck crack is definitely an ooh moment. There's a case for the ending being stronger, that the smash cut to the outcome robs us of some of the mayhem. I don't mind it though. With all this dolphin violence, I like that it leaves us with a contemplative, hopeless sort of ending. Night of the Dolphin truly does make dolphins scary, validating commentators around the world.
Ow! Ow!
So in general, I don't find the Simpsons formula of blank comes alive and kills people that scary. These segments are essentially list jokes, as they systematically go through the cast of characters. They all feel exactly the same. To this segment's credit, our technology turning on us is more relatable and scary in this sense. So if I'm gonna pick one of these, I'm glad it's this one. That said, with this segment, it's the ending that always gets
I've had
me.
to bend it a bit to
It's
ensure
already
proper
super
trajectory.
bleak that the girls leave Homer and
Next
Bart
is the
behind
fan.
to die.
The fan
The
will
dumb
provide
celebrity
the
jokes
propulsion
kind of lighten the mood
Next
somewhat,
up, the funnel.
but seeing
funnel will
Homer
allow
and
the
Bart
fruit to be
floating in
aimed
space,
correctly.
their heads
And
slowly
last,
exploding.
the fork. It'll
I don't
need a
know,
handle so
it's
I can
just
carry
so
it around.
creepy to me.
All in all,
Them
a
singing
crafty
that
piece of
show tune in
machinery.
the background
I call
while
it
they
the
slowly
fruit
float
flinger.
away. Maybe it's the juxtaposition that gets me, or the lingering sense of hopelessness. It's just so weird and so odd, and always makes me feel uncomfortable. Everyone's dead now. Happy Halloween. I desperately need other people to tell me they also find this part super scary, because I can't be the only one like this. Just, ugh, no thank you. The Pookadook is in the exact same category as Hell to Pay, where the creep factor is in seeing a beloved Simpsons parent turning on one of their own. Which version you prefer is more a matter of taste, as the Pookadook is significantly less violent overall. But I would
That
argue
spider
that it's
looks
scarier,
less than
just due to
pleasant.
the fact that it's Marge.
Use the fruit flinger
We've seen
to knock it
evil
down.
Homer plenty of times. We're used to him. But evil Marge is its own beast. The way she
Well,
stalks
now
Maggie
she's
throughout the house,
angry.
desperately
Violet's
clawing at the
invention
basement
should
door
do
to
the
get in.
trick.
That almost playful smirk as Marge describes the horrible things she's gonna do. Julie Kavner's performance is so foreboding. She absolutely crushes it. I would also argue that Maggie is a more scary potential victim. Agency matters, and now they're putting a baby through this. If you want a treehouse segment that feels truly uncanny, check out the Pookadook. It turns one of the most heartwarming relationships right on its head. I struggled with this ranking in particular, because I've always found Wanted Dead Than Alive more uncomfortable than scary. After so many years of watching the dog chase the car, and finally catching it, I find myself not enjoying watching it, even on a cartoon horror. It's just Bob keeping Bart's body around for his sadistic pleasure, keeping it in his basement,
so
him brutalizing him over and over again. It's the closest thing to The Simpsons doing one of those torture films, which is a big no thank you genre for me.
The glorious
Obviously,
garden.
I'm being extreme here,
Do you
and
remember
it's
the game
played
you and Dad
relatively
used to play?
silly for
A
most of it.
perfect fit.
I could
Let's see
understand
what's
why
next.
others might not find this scary at all.
The splendid
It's just the
Stegosaurus.
underlying concept is so incredibly
Hurry,
creepy to me,
Klaus.
I actively avoid watching it. I don't want to watch Bart get beaten with a sledgehammer. But,
don't
to
wanna
be
let
fair,
Justice Strauss
it
down.
is evoking my desire to run away. And no
Check that
other
one off the
segment on
list.
this list can say that. So it's landing here
A
on the
pleasant
counter.
painting. Right
Terror
where it
at
belongs.
5.5 feet
Another one down.
is a nice example of how to create high suspense
Talented
while maintaining
tourist.
a sense of action and thrill. You get a wonderful balance of inside the bus tension with outside the bus terror. It's not all build-up.
Hurry,
It's not
Klaus.
all Bart just having this sense of dread and no one believing him. You can create an entire
Check that one
spooky
off the
segment
list.
out of atmosphere and vibes, but it's that extra layer
The
of
majestic
dramatic
moon.
irony that they keep cutting to this horrible gremlin tormenting
A
Bart and
perfect
the
fit.
audience.
Let's see what's next.
It puts us right in his shoes, remembering all those
The
times
amazing
where no one
athlete.
believed us.
Keep looking.
Obviously,
I
a
know
lot
you
of
can
this
do
is
it.
coming from the source material, but hey, The Simpsons is executing it well. They keep us off balance with moments
Right
like
where
the
it
opening
belongs.
dream
Another
and
one
the Willy
down.
reveal. Cheap scares
Children,
designed to
I
keep
don't-
us guessing. And right when you think they're gonna do the old clown without pity happy ending, they hit us with the biggest ending pop in Treehouse history. Good stuff.
It's my turn.
Congratulations. 8 wins the award for the most
I'll start
graphic
with the
violence in a Treehouse
The
of
pressure
Horror.
releases will give Sunny
This
a
thing
boost.
is just grisly and
Next
dark
is the
all the
book
way
strap.
through.
It's what we
Like,
use to
they
attach
don't even
the device
show
to.
Bart's Cape Fear
Next,
death at the
the
beginning,
pull cord.
but
This
oh
will allow
boy,
Sunny
do
to
we
turn
get the
device
point.
on and off.
Then the rest is playing the David
Another
Fincher
work of
hits,
genius,
showing
if I do
every
say so
individual
myself.
murder in
I
all
call
their
it the
disgusting
baby
glory.
booster.
The fact that it's all the child characters grown up who are the victims make it especially disturbing. Man, this thing is bleak. Not one moment of levity. Okay, maybe this joke. Nelson's death might be the most graphic in Treehouse history. I'm not even going to show it because I fear the YouTube censors, but ooh, those hooks. I have always been a little squeamish about gore, so this segment freaks me out in general. Perhaps the scariest aspect is how they leverage continuity. They've taken an episode we love and twisted it into this alternate timeline nightmare.
Generally, it's better for babies to remain safely on the ground. Sunny Baudelaire, however, was no ordinary baby.
In my opinion, the shinning is the best Treehouse segment of all time. And a key factor in this greatness is just how many frightening moments in it. Sure, some of this might be stolen
I'm
valor,
terribly sorry,
faithfully
but you
parodying the
must
source
try
material.
that again.
I mean, how could you make this material
Generally, it's
a
better for
wacky,
babies to
smackety
remain
farce?
safely on the ground.
Homer's so
Sunny
sinister
Baudelaire,
throughout this,
however,
embodying
was no
all of
ordinary
Jack
baby.
Torrance's mannerisms and relentlessly hunting down his beloved family. And it's not all implied either. We get that shocking bit of violence in here. And, of course, the Marge scene is just gorgeous. How we share her sense of horror with this 360-degree pan. Now, I'm gonna knock it down just a little bit because the lead-up is pretty standard, and some of it plays more cartoony or jokey. But when the shinning hits, it hits hard. Just ask Willie. I know that we've seen a lot of violence and a lot of monsters on this list so far, and all that is good. But Bad Dreamhouse is up this far strictly for its vibes. This thing is so damn creepy to me. I'm convinced 50% of it is just Alf Clausen's score, that mysterious drone that pervades the whole thing. It's so 80s, so unlike any of his other work on the show. Never underestimate the power of music. And the rest of the creep factor is Harry Shearer's performance of the house. It's so deep and foreboding, even when they have it saying ridiculous things like psychoanalysis. This whole nighttime sequence is so unnerving. He's whispering into their ears. The butcher knife, Lisa. Ooh. This is season 2, where they're not trying to cram jokes into every line of dialogue. They let their scenes breathe more, creating this stronger sense of mood without undercutting it. I don't know, maybe I'm massively overrating this, but atmosphere is a huge part of horror, and The Simpsons actually commits to it. This feels like a totally different show, and is the only segment like it. Treehouse of Horror segment, I would point to Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace. It has everything you want. It's based on a popular horror franchise, it's got gruesome imagery, it's suspenseful, it's atmospheric, and it has a giant monster at the end. What more could you ask for? Willie as Freddy Krueger is genius. Willie is so naturally hot-headed already that he makes for a credible, threatening villain. For my money, this shot is the grossest thing in the first 20 seasons. I remember when I was little being so freaked out by how long they hold on his burned up body. The Simpsons loves to cut away, loves to lighten the mood, and they let this scene play out. Martin's death, while played very funny, is a genuinely disturbing pose. And there's something about the way Bagpipe Monster Willie slowly reveals himself that gives me goosebumps. Bart and Lisa's moment of peril seems to go on forever. Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace was never going to be number 1 on this list, because you just can't beat the next entry, but it got pretty damn close, and I tip my hat to it. I like how the top 2 of this countdown both start with Nightmare. It's nice.
Ouch!
I talked about this in detail in the top 20 list.
We'll need to find a
I
key
find
for this.
Nightmare Cafeteria so chilling and upsetting. I think we all felt kind of trapped in here, being forced through that system. And adapting Soylent Green to those childhood fears fits perfectly. The adults are so sociopathic in this, so ruthlessly efficient in solving their budget problem. The dreamlike logic of Marge not caring at all about Bart and Lisa's problem. Nobody's really looking out for these kids, literally being fed through the grinder. Just terrifying. They throw in plenty of tense moments and desperate imagery. Makes me want to become a vegetarian, to be honest. This
I'm a little
climax,
rusty,
in my
but I'll
opinion,
give it a try.
is easily the scariest in Treehouse history. The way Lunch Lady Doris bursts out of there, Willie getting axed, the zombie-like march forward, the fact that Bart and Lisa don't get away in the end. Just nightmare fuel all the way through. And it's capped off by the Inside Out number, an ending that many Simpsons fans refuse to watch. They're that grossed out by it. I'm not quite at that level, I always watch it, but I get the instinct. Nightmare Cafeteria, awesome Treehouse segment, scariest of all time. Before we go, I'm gonna throw in a few honorable mentions that I seriously considered. Married to the Blob, mostly for this scene. Clearly Homer eating things is always scary. War and Pieces has some gruesome deaths, even if it's one of those list joke segments. Bart Simpson's Dracula has a couple big pops and spooky vibes, but I find it more funny than terrifying. I feel similarly about Dial Z for Zombies, some great gags in here. Then there's Dial M for Murder, etc. for general Alfred Hitchcock suspense, and I considered How to Get Ahead in Deadvertising for this scene alone. Ugh. The rest of this segment I don't find scary at all. I did this list because I think the scare factor is important in constructing a Treehouse segment. Like, if the writers want to do some non-scary parody, they have their anthology episodes for that. But when I come to a Treehouse of Horror, I want them to at least try to deliver the spooky. Even at a primetime TV comedy level of horror, I at least want them to try. When they deliver something like the Xena or Avatar segments, I totally think it's fair to deduct points for not even resembling horror. It's October, what are we doing here? Sometimes it's November. Let me know in the comments which Treehouse segments you think are scariest and any of the ones I missed. I feel like this ranking in particular is even more subjective than usual, as everyone is freaked out by different things. Turns out I'm most frightened by Bart and Lisa and Maggie danger. Clearly I don't give a crap about Homer being killed. I guess Homer had it coming to him. Hope everyone's having a fun and spooky Halloween. Thanks for watching.
This is Wii U music. Y2K, my asshole. How is this fucking... How is this Y2K aesthetic internet nostalgia? What? Oh, it's this millennium, so it's Y2K. Forehead. What? What the fuck is this, mates? Y2K aesthetic. I mean, Wii makes sense, but Wii U? Like, come on. Does, like, literally anything this millennium equal Y2K? It's a bunch of bullshit, if you ask me. Literally nobody cares, though, so whatever.